listen to this piece. I want to emphasize to younger people that they need to recognize and be taught at an early age that some things are very natural. Everybody doesn't have to go to school. Everybody doesn't have to be trained. Everybody does not have to go through all of these procedures and all of this stuff that people are led to believe will give them credence and credibility to be qualified to do something. Some people have a natural gift for doing things that other people have to be trained for. See, all of us have to be educated about the general function of everybody's inclusion in society. But when it comes to actual ability, some people have a natural ability to do things that it took some people years to train to be able to do. And people wonder, how is that possible that somebody who has no training can do something like that? And you find out sometime, and most of the time, that the ones that can do it naturally are actually better than the ones that have been trained. Because the ones that are trained, to some degree, even if they use their own expression to do it, they're still using the influence of some third party or more. But a person who can do something natural does something in their own unique capability that's useful, that's beneficial, that's interesting to everybody else and the whole system and function of whatever it is that what they created goes into. Young people need to understand that every individual person has some unique abilities that are specific to them, and that they need to seek out what those gifts are and learn how to get the most from them, because part of what they're here to be doing is showing the world how they use their unique talent and ability to make society and the world we live in a better place. And so everybody in some kind of way is gifted. It might not be the same gift as everybody else. Some people are even gifted naturally at doing bad things, but they're still gifted. And you have to correct the behavior so that they take the gift that they use for bad behavior and learn to do something good with that talent instead of something bad with it. Some people are naturally criminal. Some people are naturally violent. Some people are naturally a lot of things. But those are behavioral problems. It doesn't really have anything to do with their actual God-given ability. If a person that has behavioral problems of negativity uses that same energy and that same ability for positive things, look what can happen as a result of it. But nobody is really encouraging people to use their ability and their talent for positive things at the level that they need to. A lot of people don't really know what to do with themselves. They don't really know what they're really gifted at. And so they do what they think they have to do to survive. And if doing something negative gives them more than doing something positive, they learn to value doing negative things. Every person has a unique God-given ability of some kind, even if it's only to survive. For example, you ever see somebody who's allergic to something that another person is not allergic to? Well, they have a unique natural ability within them already to defend themselves against something that somebody else has to go to the doctor for. You ever see somebody who trained all their life to become a superstar athlete, and then some unnamed person shows up who's just as good as they are? They just have to learn how to play the actual rules of the game, and then they can play as good or better than the person that trained all their life. How do you explain stuff like that? You ever see somebody have to go for cosmetic surgery to get their body augmented so that everything looks perfect the way they want it to look? And then you find some other person who was born with these incredible features already, who don't have to get any surgery whatsoever, and it seems like God made them more perfect than somebody else naturally. And people wonder, well, how did that happen? Or you ever see somebody that is not that good looking? They might be a great person, but they're not that good looking physically, like when you look in the mirror or you look at them. And people wonder, well, why did that person not come out as pretty as that person? Like, there are a lot of natural things that can happen. And students need to know, and grown people need to know, that some people have a natural God-given ability that nobody can take from them, that they can share with the world and gain resources from their cultural assets of being able to do so. Because you being natural, using your gifts, along with what you get educated with, can empower other people to know how to use theirs. And then when everybody's using their ability together, we can achieve more together. And so every single student has something special about them. One person might be able to read really good, and another person might not be able to read really good. Well, the person that can read best should probably try to help the person who can't read. But you've got to be interested in wanting to learn first. Everybody has natural God-given abilities that the laws of this nation protect for you. And if anybody tries to take them away or steal them from you, you can fight for them. And so what are your natural God-given abilities? Do you know yet? This is the Thought Line. I'm your host, Reggie Radney, and I've got information for you.
I think it's appropriate for me to add this particular part on the basis that I understand what is going on at some levels and dimensions that other people don't. There is another side to this race equation other than just the white woman. A lot of black boys and a lot of black men don't really get the kind of love and support that they're supposed to get from their own race, and they don't grow up being happy people who are loved. And a lot of times, even when white kids are impoverished, they're still surrounded by the idea of family, and usually, even if the home system is distressed, somebody loves them, somebody, their aunt or somebody, and they treat them like they love them and they protect them. When a black man or a black boy gets an opportunity to be with a white girl, they become something else sometime. They think they have something that's worth something more than it may actually be worth. As a matter of fact, a black man might turn against his own race on the basis that a white girl accepted him. He thinks that he's more important, more valuable, more cool than somebody else in his race because he had a chance to be with this white girl. A white girl can corrupt a black man, and she may not intend to do so. See, a white woman has the capacity to understand why black men ended up becoming the way that they are. And a lot of times they know how to nurture that Negro until she shows him how he should be and how he can be to be a better person, regardless of race. She shows him how to feel like he's loved, like somebody cares about him. And she's going to often take on some of those Negro behaviors to be with him. And when he finally feels that love, when he finally gets back to that sense of the matriarch, where he feels that there's a connection to a female, which is oftentimes something that men don't really get in general after they leave the mother's womb, that black man might think that he is more important than he actually is, or that she's more important than she actually is. And his insecurity, his jealousy, his whatever the reason may be, may make him more dangerous than he would be even if he were with a feral black woman. Some couples are dangerous in general. But something about mixing the wrong black people with the wrong white people can turn into something that actually is, in fact, bad for society. And I'm not afraid to say that. I know the difference. You ever see somebody that's a spectacular, beautiful person who ends up with some low-end, unrespected person who seems like they're more important than they actually are because they're with her? Like, how the hell did you two end up together? Why the hell would you pick him? Or why the hell would you pick her? And you're like, I can't believe it. I mean, if you were going to go that way, did you have to go with that? And everybody's just kind of like, the hell with it. Neither one of you are no good. Nobody wants to deal with either one of you because something bad is going to come from this. You just know it at some point. And then there's this exception where every now and then one of those couples actually succeeds. And then that can be held against the knowledge that most of the time that's going to turn into something ugly and something awful. Nobody wants to have white kids around who act like niggas. And nobody seems to want black men around who try to act like they're not black, like they're a white person. And so how do you have this marriage between these two people that come from different circumstances and backgrounds and expect that there's not going to be some type of conflict in how society accepts them if it seems like those two people don't belong together? See, my experience is that, and maybe it's just because I came back south, they engage in their interracial relationships, if it happens, ignorantly most of the time down here. The only time you see the ones that seem like they're actually like they're supposed to be a lot of times are when it's some educated people that probably aren't even really from here. I mean, when you see a white girl acting worse than a nigga, it confuses you. Because when you look at her before she says anything, you be like, wow, you're really pretty. You seem really nice. And then she starts talking all of that stuff and acting worse than some of the worst black women. And you're like, well, wait a minute. I'm really confused. I don't want anything to do with any of this. I don't care what you two do. Just don't get in the way. And so these little tensions about somebody taking their daughter and creating something by a Negro like that, or somebody getting a good black man and turning the grandchildren into somebody that hates their own black race, something about that ends up ugly. And so the elders were like, look, maybe you all will just be better if we keep this separated, because when you start mixing up with these Negroes, all there are going to be are problems. Everybody doesn't understand that. Everybody doesn't want to deal with that. And then what happens when that white girl isn't happy with her white side? You're like, I want to learn other stuff. I want to be, that Asian guy is really cute to me, or that Latino man is really interesting to me. I don't really care about any of that crap. Keep your racial animus to yourselves. Black men get blamed for the stuff that irresponsible niggas and irresponsible white people, crackers, do. How do we explain where these titles come from? Okay, we call a Jew a kike. We call a woman who's a sex liaison a damn hoe. And then, well, don't say that. Don't use the N-word. Don't call anybody a cracker or a peckerwood. Don't. Are you not seeing the same thing in a nicer way with a softer word or a softer tone? I mean, what is this about? Is all I'm trying to argue. Some things don't belong together. Some things shouldn't be mixed. As a matter of fact, some white people shouldn't even be mixed with other white people. And some black people shouldn't even be mixed with other black people. I want you to look at the greater perspective of what I'm talking about and what it means to be human, what it means to be a person of faith, what it means to be a person of cleanliness. We're all sinners according to faith. I'm not your public moralist. I'm real. I've seen it all. I know what's going on. What I'm saying is this. Shouldn't we give some discretion to what we're doing in this world? If you're going to date a black man, why you got to date a black man that ain't nothing? If you're going to date a white girl, why you got to be with a white girl that ain't nothing? And that's why everybody's really so angry and they don't know how to put it into words. Nobody wants their family that they worked hard on contaminated by this impurity, this feral, irresponsible behavior that's going to produce something that doesn't seem like it's legitimate to what you worked on as a family.